want to talk to you this morning about how we can all of us, without exception, can win on LinkedIn in whatever way win looks like for you. For some, winning might mean that you land a new customer in the next 6 months or year. For some of you, it might mean that you land 10 new customers in the next year. For some, it might mean you're going to land 100. But my focus is on helping you to win in whatever sphere that looks like for you. You might have seen my post yesterday where I told a story about being in a queue at an expo, and a woman turned around. She was in front of me in the queue, and she turned around and she went, "You're that guy from LinkedIn, right?" And I literally didn't know her, had never met her, but she felt like she knew me enough to say, "Hey, you're that guy from LinkedIn, right?" In exactly the same way that I feel like I know Trudy, because of the fact that I've seen her posting on LinkedIn over the last year. And LinkedIn is very powerful. In fact, it's as powerful as Facebook or Instagram in giving you the ability to create a profile for yourself and build a personal brand. But I think that when I look at lots of people on LinkedIn, I feel like lots of people do it pretty badly, to be honest. And I wanted today to share some stuff with you all that I think that will help you do it better. For those of you who spend an awful long time, so I was listening to David and Hannah, and they were like, "I overthink it, I spend ages thinking about it, and then I kind of procrastinate on it, and then I don't post." And I'm like, think of all of that time that you've wasted thinking about it, getting it to the point, writing it out maybe, and then not posting it. And then I think about the people. So I don't think that's the right way to do it, by the way. I think if you're going to take some time to think about it, just put it out there and let it fly. Don't overthink it, is probably the first thing I'd say. And then I think about the people who are serial creators, the type. They are people who literally posting stuff constantly, but when you look at it, there doesn't seem to be much engagement going on. And I think what you do, or what people do when they do that, and I'm not going to take ownership of the statement I'm about to say because I learned it from my mate Jamie Forster. But when you literally just turn up on LinkedIn, you create a post about what you do and you post it, essentially what you're doing is like walking into a bar and going, "Hey, buy my stuff." Essentially, that's what you're doing. When you're just turning up and posting, it's the exact equivalent of walking into a bar and telling people to buy your stuff. And people just ignore you, will think you're weird and ignore you. So I'm going to give you over the next kind of 10 minutes some tips on how to avoid doing that. So why should you listen to me? I've been on LinkedIn now since 2008. It's a decent chunk of time. And I've been very active on LinkedIn now for the past 8 years. So before that, it was sporadic, and working in corporate, I didn't use it as much. But being in my last business development role and then full-time self-employed for the last 8 years, I've gone to work on LinkedIn, and I made a conscious decision that I thought it was better to turn up in one place very constantly with the limited time I had as a solopreneur at the time, rather than diverting my focus into Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I looked at my target market and I went, where do they hang out? And I chose LinkedIn. And that's why I spent so much time and went consistently on it. And then over the last couple of years, we've doubled down on producing really high quality content. And over the last 2 years, I've grown my audience by about 4,500 people in 2 years. By people connecting with me, because people like my stuff and then they look and they like my profile and they connect, and it's awesome. And I've won customers on LinkedIn, and I was quite shocked by the stat that I saw where it said that quite a lot of people have won business through LinkedIn. And I don't know whether it's just the job that I'm in, business coaching, but I have won customers directly through LinkedIn. I've posted and written direct posts, and people have literally sent me an email going, I think you're talking to me, we should talk. That's happened. And I don't think there's anyone in this room that has responded to one of those very direct, I'm looking for this sort of person. If that's you, and if you've got these pain points, then I can help you. I can definitely attribute 3 long-term clients to posting on LinkedIn, but that's 3. And if you think about the time that I've been doing it, 8 years, it's not a particularly good return on my investment of time and energy, I would say. So I would say that it's not really a magic bullet. However, what it is really good at is this thing called parasocial relationships. And a parasocial relationship is a relationship that you think you've got, but you haven't actually got. And it's like if I say, oh, I know Tom Cruise. I know Tom Cruise because Top Gun was my film, followed by Cocktail, followed by Mission Impossible. I liked Tom Cruise as an actor, and I went deep on Tom Cruise, and I even became a cocktail bartender because I liked the film Cocktail, and I thought I'd get loads of chicks because that's how Tom Cruise did it. I know Tom Cruise, right? I know him, but I don't really know him. I think I know him because I've gone deep on Tom Cruise's films, and I've seen him in magazines, and I've been interested in him. And the more I've seen him, the more that parasocial relationship has grown. And I know him. I know a lot about him. In the same way that some of you might know they like artists or actors or Tom Cruise or whoever it is, or Heidi from Ted's Curios. And the thing about a parasocial relationship and the thing about LinkedIn is if you do it consistently, like our boy Harold Floyd, it becomes very easy to be someone that is known for doing something in a certain way. The thing that I was going to say to David Perry in our breakout room was what Harold Floyd does brilliantly well is leverage social proof in his LinkedIn posts. If you don't know who Harold Floyd is, he's probably the client of Outside Ideas Mastermind 9 that has gone into a different, or one of a couple, but he's done it through LinkedIn, but gone into a different orbit. And I would encourage you to go and look at Harold Floyd and see how he's doing it. But what he does incredibly well is these credibility by association posts. If you look, he is forever doing a selfie outside the Volvo headquarters or outside the National Rail headquarters or the Amazon headquarters or whatever it is. And the thing that is so powerful about that is that if National Rail or Volvo or any one of those other companies that he's taken photos outside, all of a sudden you're more interested in what he's doing. And that's because of that parasocial relationship. You feel like Volvo because they've been everywhere for a long time, and he's been able to leverage it. So, what I would encourage you to do, and what I was going to encourage David to do, is when you're behind the camera, my man, and you're taking a video of Harold doing his thing at Volvo, get someone to take your photo, your camera, stand behind you, and have you taking a video of Harold, because then all of a sudden you will be the person that's recording all of these beautiful things, and you will become much more known as a result of leveraging off his credibility. Parasocial relationships. But it's not a magic bullet. As I said, I would bet that most small business owners would would say that their marketing budget, their marketing mix, their marketing time is made up primarily of social media. Social media wasn't really a thing for businesses 20 years ago. There's this whole other pile of stuff that you can do from a marketing perspective. And whilst I would say that LinkedIn should definitely be a part of your marketing mix, it should just be a part of it, because I have invested probably 1,000 hours, maybe more, into LinkedIn. And if I look at the direct result of 3 clients for 1,000 hours, that's a shit return, if we're honest. Now, it may be that there's a LinkedIn guru out there, and I wouldn't profess, by the way, to be a LinkedIn guru. I'm just an avid fan of LinkedIn. And it may be that if I spent time with a LinkedIn guru, they'd help me really monetize what I'm doing. Maybe. But my advice to you is that there is a world of stuff that you could be doing to market yourself. LinkedIn is one of those things. So it's not just about posting pretty pictures. So I've got a good friend, and I'm not going to say what industry they're in, but essentially, there's an awful lot of pretty pictures. They post a pretty picture with a story, and they do it with absolute regularity. And that might be 3, 4, 5 posts a week going out on their profile for years. For years. In fact, I know 2 people that are prolific at doing this, and they post very regularly. But when I look at their post, I like it because they're clients and friends. But when I look at their post, hardly anyone engages. They might get like 4, 5, 6 likes, maybe one comment, but nothing. And then when I think about it, it's really obvious why they're getting nothing. It's really obvious. Jim Rohn, who some of you will know and some of you might not know. If you don't know him, you should look him up. Jim Rohn, in fact, it's not Jim Rohn, it's Dale Carnegie from How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've got the wrong guru in my mind. Win friends and influence people, Dale Carnegie would say that you'll win more friends in 2 weeks by being genuinely interested in other people than you will in 2 months by trying to get them interested in themselves, in yourself. And what I've witnessed several of my friends doing is trying to get people interested in them by posting pretty pictures and insightful comments and thought leadership pieces. And then they just post it, they schedule it up, they post it, and then they go and do something else. They spend their time elsewhere. And they get, after 2 years of doing it, they get 6 likes. It's like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You shouldn't do that. It should be part of what you do. But in my opinion, you should spend 8 times as long engaging with other people's stuff as you do in creating and posting the stuff yourself. That's the magic formula. In my opinion, if you flip the switch and you stop posting anywhere near as much, so if you're posting 3 times a week, 4 times a week, just post once a week and spend the rest of the time engaging with other people's stuff and watch what happen to your engagement. I would bet you all that if you just did that, within 2 months, your engagement would triple, quadruple, you'd 5x or 10x the stuff that you're doing just by being more active, engaging with the right people. Ain't no point in just liking Tom, Dick, or Harry's stuff. You need to absolutely be clear on who your ideal target market is and go engage with them. So there we go. So how do you do that? This is my IP. A lot of the stuff that I use, ladies and gents, comes from books that I've learned from other people. This comes from me and my head. And I call it the G and 5 R's method for getting known on LinkedIn, otherwise known as anyone? Grrr. You've got to be a tiger. You've got to be a tiger. And what I can promise you is that this shit works. People on this call have listened to international bestseller Bob Burg. Millions of books sold, wrote an amazing series called The Go-Giver that if you're interested in selling in a humane way, you should absolutely go and look at. Michael Lennington, the guy who wrote The 12-Week Year. I know Kelly is a massive fan, has been here. Again, millions of books sold. This guy, one of my heroes, the guy who helped me beat depression, really, definitely a major piece of scaffold. Hal Elrod wrote The Miracle Morning. His keynote speech is £48,000. The first time I spoke to him on a call, we were talking, getting on great. It was all good. And then it was like, yeah, my fee's $48,000. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I haven't got that. I've got a little audience of maybe 100 people. We never pay our speakers. And ultimately, because he liked me, because he knew who I was, he liked me, and because I built some credibility by association by having Bob Berg, he talked to our audience for free and we all got massive value. My point is, I didn't know Bob Berg, and by rights, I shouldn't have got Bob Berg. I definitely shouldn't have got Elrod or Michael Lennington, but I did it using this exact method that I'm about to teach you. And what I would tell you is if you use it to target the people that you want to target, you will become known by them. That is a guarantee. So the G, the G and 5 R's, the first G, well, the first and only G is you've got to have a goal, ladies and gents. You've got to have a goal. Who is it that you want to be known by and why? So we talked about the marketing accelerator, and what I would say in the marketing accelerator is the first thing that you need to do in marketing is figure out who you want to serve, who you want to help. And until you do that, until you get absolutely crystal clear on who it is that you want to help, you're going to spend shitloads of time and money and it's going to be wasted. So have a goal for being known by the people that you want to be known by. That's the goal. And I would encourage you, again, in the marketing accelerator, we talk about target 200 and focus on 30. So once you've identified the avatar, the profile of the person that you want to sell to, you go out and you find 200 in a oneer because it's leverage doing it in a oneer. And then you just narrow down and you focus on 30 people. And I would encourage you to focus on 30 people that you want to get known by who you don't know already. That would be the goal. The first R, once you know that there are these 30 people that you want to be known by because you think, you suspect they might be customers or they might be suppliers or strategic partners or whatever the reason is that you want them to be, you want to be known by them, you then got to go and research them. Now, LinkedIn is a beautiful tool because it allows you to go and have a look at who these people are and you should be able to find out a decent amount of stuff about someone from their LinkedIn profile. So go and research. The first R, research, with the aim of finding stuff that you can relate to. So when I talk about relate, what I'm really talking about is synergy. What synergy have you got with this person? So things that you might be able to relate to. You might have gone to the same school. You might live in the same town. You might know the same person. You might work with the same accountant. You might know your kids might go to the same school together. You might see that they've just got back from a trip to Thailand and you went to Thailand in 2002. There's all sorts of things that you can do to find stuff that is relatable, but it's really important to do that research. And when you're researching, you go, Trudy Dixon lives in Reading. She knows Richard the Lionheart and she likes Superman. And all of a sudden, I'm making her smile because I know a little bit of stuff that I can drop into a conversation down the line. And she's going to go, oh, I really like you because you're interested in me. Relate to stuff that they are interested in. Once you've related to stuff, it's time to make it, as Trudy would say, it's time to be a bit stalkerish. And that's the fact of the matter, gang. You've got to reveal yourself. You've got to be a bit of a stalker. So the research and the relate is really about being stalkerish, to be honest. The reveal yourself is about proving that you're a stalker. Now, the LinkedIn gurus would tell you that you need to look, like, comment, share, connect. That order: look, like, comment, share, connect. In my experience, I like the acronym, but you've got to go much deeper than that to really, truly become known. It's not enough to not be known. It's not enough to not be noticed. And I don't think in those 4 or 5 steps there's enough there. So what it really looks like is go into Trudy's post. And I've done this on Trudy's profile. It's so funny she's here. Because at one point she would have gone, who the fuck is Peter Molson? Why is he just 36 things? Like, she's smiling, but it's fact. You need to look at their profile. Then you need to go, let's look at the posts. And then you need to go, like, comment, like, insightful, comment, love, comment, like, comment. And really the aim is to spend 5 minutes just going through, reading stuff, being interested, genuinely interested. If this person, by the way, is not someone that you find interesting, highly unlikely that you're going to want to do work with them. So don't do that. Don't go deep on someone's profile who you think is a bit of a dick. But if you think they're interesting, go deep on their profile and find interesting stuff about them and make yourself known. Because at some point when you do that, they will open up their LinkedIn once a day, maybe twice a day, and they will get some notifications, and it will go 36 notifications, and they'll look, and it's like Peter Moles liked, Peter Moles liked, Peter Moles loved, Peter Moles commented, liked, commented. And in that moment, it's happened to Trudy. I know it's happened to Trudy. She goes, who is that guy? And then she went and looked at my profile. And in that moment, she knows me. She might pretend she doesn't, but she does. So reveal yourself. That's the secret step. And then you need to reach out. So let a couple of days go past. Don't be real stalkerish. Sometimes I do this, but most of the time I let a couple of days go past. And what I'll do is I will typically just reach out with a connection request, and I will always write a connection request in and go, hey, I really like your stuff. Can we connect? And sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. So what? Move on. Because the last step is repeat. I am still waiting for a connection request from Jeb Blount. Bastard. I'm still waiting for a connection acceptance from Mel Robbins. Still waiting for one from Brené Brown. So if they don't accept after I've sent it, I withdraw it, because you don't want to be one of those people that's constantly in there. So the final step is to just repeat the process, because some will, some won't. So what? Move on. You've just got to keep doing it bit after bit, and it might need a few more touches for you to get what you want. So the final step is repeat. I've just shot myself in the foot here, because this is the guy that I'm working on, right? I really want to bring value to you lot. And Jeb Blount is an author of a book called Sales Gravy, and he a podcast called Sales Gravy, and he wrote a book called Fanatical Prospecting, which is fantastic. Helps you really figure out what you need to do. And he talks about pipeline being life. And it came to a point in my business once upon a time where my pipeline was completely empty, and I cried for a day because I didn't have anyone to talk to or sell to, and it was a horrible experience. So I went and learned about it, and this guy's pretty good at it. And I want him at some point to talk to you lot. So I have been GRRRing him for the last couple of weeks, and I like his stuff and I comment on his stuff. And after a while, I sent a connection, which has been rejected. Oh, the irony. I would have loved so much. I looked last night to see whether he'd accepted, and it's no, you're still a second. I'll repeat, it doesn't work. It's not 100% foolproof, but it worked with Bob Berg, and it worked with Hal Elrod, and it worked with like Michael Lennington. And I wish I had the slides in a different order. I'm going to go on. It worked with her. Bryony. Oh my God. I love her book so much that I bought it twice. I bought the first one and I read it and I went, yeah, there's some really good stuff in there. And then I bought the second one, and I don't know whether you can see, but it's literally full of highlights. Like, I loved it. I made all of my team read it. It's a fantastic book. So I GRRR'd her, and next 2 weeks' time, she's talking at Networking In. 2 weeks' time. It works. Do it. It works. I'll go back. Can I go back? Yeah. Here's the wrap up. Stop posting for the sake of posting because no one really gives a shit. No one is interested in what you do until you're interested in what they do. The more interested you are in them, the more interested they will become in you. So just stop it. Stop posting if you're not getting engagement and spend the time liking, commenting, finding insightful, sharing. Like leverage off someone else's post that's done well and put your commentary in. Like you're going to get more likes, comments, shares from doing that than you will by posting stuff. It doesn't mean to say, gang, that you shouldn't post because you absolutely should. But there's no point in posting until you've got an audience to post to. And curate your audience to make sure that the right people are seeing your stuff. So, a little side note, because I like a tangent, me. I had, for a few years, I had a very successful recruitment consultant client. We went on a proper exciting journey. And one of the quite early things that we did, she had 10,000 LinkedIn followers when we started working together because she'd been in recruitment for ages. And one of the insightful things that we did was analyze her LinkedIn connection and realize that from 10,000 connections, there were precisely 146 that would ever buy her stuff. What's the fucking point in that? Okay, great, you've got 10, but if you're posting to avoid, you know, you might get engagement, but if they're not going to buy what you're selling, what's the point? So stop posting for posting's sake, whatever that tangent was that I just went on. Start engaging, adding value, building relationships, because let's be honest, as Dale Carnegie said, you'll win twice as many, you'll win more friends in 2 weeks by being interested in them than you will in 2 months by getting them to be interested in you. And then LinkedIn will work if you do it in the right way. Come to networking in 2 weeks' time, and you will meet who I would tell you with my hand on my heart has become my #1 marketing author. I've read probably 20 books on marketing. Seth Godin, gone deep. Donald Miller, gone deep. Alan Dibb, gone deep. Like I've read lots of books on marketing. I reckon hers is the best that I've read for a small business. And she's coming to talk in 2 weeks' time, and you would be fools to not come. There we go. Ready to go and go like a tiger, make it happen. Thank you very much.